Hi, everyone. Vengeance here, along with the night. And we're not wearing hockey
God,
pads.
no. Oh, I hate this already.
Could you imagine if I did the podcast with that voice the whole
Yeah,
time?
oh man, you definitely wouldn't have a voice tomorrow.
But for real, guys, welcome back to the podcast. AB here, along with Jack. We are the Stream Catchers, and if you couldn't tell by the title, we are talking Batman movies today. Jack, how you doing?
Ooh, I'm doing really good. How are you?
Feeling good, feeling great, man. We talked about it. I have been wanting to do this one for a while. I've been watching movies out the wazoo for the last month. This is going to be a fun one, I think. So, for those that don't haven't listened to our podcast where we do rankings before, we each have a list of 10 Batman movies. We'll go down the list 10 to 1. Jack will kick us off, and we'll kind of just go from there. So, Jack, what do you say? You want to kick us off with your number 10?
Yeah, man. I have. I feel like I've been training for this moment all my life.
I know.
Let me just get. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. What'd you say?
I was just saying, yeah, I feel ready for this one. I feel this is probably the most prepared I've been.
I know, right?
This is the most work I've done for a podcast. I'll say that.
All right, let's go with my number 10. Are you ready?
Give it to me.
Batman and Robin.
I knew you were going to do this to me. Oh God! All right.
Okay, it had to have a spot on my top 10. Batman and Robin is undoubtedly a bad movie. It is on my top 10 list. It's very near and dear to my heart. It came out right when I was at a very impressionable age. You know, I watched it back to back to back to back to back. I had all the toys. This was the one. This was the one for me. I have less of an attachment to it today. I see through the chinks in the armor. You know, it's not a great movie. It's everything that was bad about there. So I'm clustering these a cluster of 4: Batman Returns,
the Burton and Schumacher movies, the 90s.
Exactly.
Movies.
I'm kind of clumping them together. Batman and Robin is kind of the worst of all of that.
The worst of anything.
It's very cheesy. It's got bad dialogue. The acting's not real great. But it's fun. I know it line for line. I'll watch it any day.
I don't think this movie has any redeeming qualities, but I'm impressed because when I first learned that you love this movie, you thought it was the best Batman movie, hands down. This is like months before The Dark Knight came out, so
yeah,
I'm happy that you have come down to earth a little bit. And I won't lie, when this movie came out, I was 4 or 5.
Right.
I loved it to death. But oh God, it is something else. I'll say that.
Gotta grow up sometime.
Gotta grow up sometime. All right. Well, I take it you're wrapped up on that.
Yes.
All right. My number 10, my first entry on the list is an animated movie. It's Batman Year One, graphic novel adaptation. This is, if you couldn't tell by the title, the story of Batman in year one of being Batman, and it doesn't really pick up with him in the full cape and cowl costume. He's still figuring out what he wants to do. And not only is this Batman's year one, but it's Jim Gordon's year one as well as a detective in Gotham City. So they sort of tell their stories apart and they sort of edge them together. By the end of it, they sort of have a bit of an understanding with each other. The animation is really solid. I think they do a great job and really painting that dreary, hopeless Gotham City that they're in at this point in time. So great movie. Pretty short. It's really interesting too.
Very short.
It's like a hair over an hour, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting too because most of Batman and Jim Gordon's dialogue is internal narration. So you kind of have a weirder tone with it, but it's really well done. And Bryan Cranston voices Jim Gordon, so that's always a pleasure as well.
It was a good fit. I like that voice for the character.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, that's one that did not make it to my list. I would probably say that's number 11 for me.
Okay.
It is spot on with the graphic novel. Like it's totally 1-to-1. Like all the narration that you're talking about, it's because it's pulled right from the book, line for line. If you haven't read the book, I would check it out. It's fun.
Definitely, absolutely. I'm glad that we've started off with 2 movies that aren't on each other's lists.
I suspect my number 9 might not be on your list.
Go for it. What do you got?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
It's Batman and Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero. It's an older one.
It is on my list, actually. So
It is. It's good, right? I watched it for. I don't know if I watched it for the first time, but I watched it for the first time as an adult today, and it was solid. I enjoyed it a lot. Voice acting was great. It's in the Batman the Animated Series style. It's got Dick Grayson. It's got Mr. Freeze. It's got polar bears. It's a good show. I mean, I can't think of another time when Mr. Freeze has polar bear companions. I hope that he does in other stuff because I love that so much.
Not if Matt Reeves does it. Please, God, I don't want that. I did like the polar bears in this, though.
Yeah.
All right. Well, mine's coming up. I will save my thoughts on it because it's not too far away. So
sure.
Are you about wrapped up on that one?
Yeah. What's your number 9?
My number 9 is a movie that takes place in the same continuity as Batman Year One, another animated movie, The Dark Knight Returns.
Okay.
Frank Miller's absolute classic graphic novel that is pretty faithfully adapted into this 2-part animated movie. I got to say, the first time I saw this was a few years ago, and I didn't super love it because I don't like how chunky Batman is in this. The way he's drawn is just a little bit unrealistic, even for a cartoon. And I don't super love his voice actor here. But other than that, the story is so solid and so well done. And the fact that they did it in 2 parts really gave them time to tell the full story. You get to see a new Robin, Carrie Klein's version, who admittedly isn't my favorite, but adds a little bit to the story. And then the final battle. I don't want to spoil any of these animated movies because I'm assuming people listening may have not seen them. But the final battle on this one is absolutely epic and so well done. And you've probably seen it in live action in the last few years, so I'll say that. But other than that, Dark Knight Returns is very well done and very worth a watch.
That one did not make it to my top 10. It's been a long time since I've watched it. I probably owe it another watch, to be honest with you.
It's so good. It really, if you can get past the weird animation of Batman and his voice, because I'm so used to Kevin Conroy and some of the other voice actors that have done it. This guy is just, it's jarring compared to that. The guy that they got to play Joker was great, though, and the whole Joker story is so well done in this as well. So very, very, very good movie.
Nice. Yeah, I'll have to give that another watch. I know I've read the books, the Dark Knight Returns graphic novels. I remember those being good. I don't remember having the same fondness for the animated feature.
We kind of owe the whole darkness of Batman to the graphic novel, that original one that Frank Miller put out in the 80s. I mean, that's kind of where the grittiness really came from, was that graphic novel. So it's very
kind of a shift from the cartoony to the gritty.
Yeah, going from teaming up with Scooby-Doo to beating people up.
Yeah. All right. So my next one is the Scooby-Doo. No, I'm just kidding. My next one is my number 8 is Batman Begins.
The Return of the Joker?
No. Batman Begins with.
Batman Begins. Oh, I don't know why I thought you said Batman Beyond. I don't know why I thought that.
Oh, no.
I don't know why I thought that.
No, we'll talk about that later.
Ooh, okay. Batman Begins. Wow, that's low. Wow.
It honestly, it felt low on the list too. But some of these animated movies, man, they get me in a way that the live actions don't. I don't know if it's a connection with just being a cartoon lover or what, but some of these maybe it's also like the hour 15, like the bite-sized chunks gets the story in and over with, and it's beautiful, in a certain way.
The animated movies are very, very well done.
Yeah,
mostly.
I assume Batman Begins probably on your list.
It definitely is. Yeah, definitely very high up.
Let's talk about it in a little bit then. What's your number 8?
Yeah, my number 8's Batman and Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero, actually. So
nice.
We talked about Batman and Robin and how I did love it when I was a kid. But even as a kid, this movie that came out 1 year afterwards, direct to VHS, even I could tell at the time that this was much better than Batman and Robin. Because, and at the time I didn't know why, but looking back, obviously, the story of Mr. Freeze is so well done here, and it is to me the best way to do Mr. Freeze, where he is at a point where he's trying to save Nora Freeze, his wife, and he finds out she needs an organ transplant. So there's a small list of matches that he can use in Gotham, and who matches but Barbara Gordon. So it's a matter, of course, right? So it's a matter of this is Mr. Freeze at his best, because he's not psychotic, he's not pure evil, he's desperate, and they paint the
he's a man on a mission.
Exactly. They paint the desperation perfectly in here. And you said it best, man. The voice acting is outstanding. This is Kevin Conroy. This is the voice of Batman. Maybe.
Yeah.
And I think that even though the animation isn't quite as good anymore compared to the level that we're accustomed to now with a lot of the ones that came out in the last 10 or so years, it's still really damn good for the time. A movie that came out in 1998, straight to VHS, just a bit over an hour long. I can't recommend it enough. If you want a Mr. Freeze story, until we potentially get Matt Reeves to do it, this is the one to watch.
For me, as far as animation style goes, like the standard has definitely shifted, but for me, I am connected with this animation style just as much as I am with the animation style from Red Hood or Long Halloween or any of them, really.
I agree. I don't want to say that it's a gripe. The standard has shifted, but I can watch it, and there's no drop off. I totally enjoy it. The animated series itself still holds up. I don't mean to make that be a gripe, but it definitely if for somebody that didn't watch it as a kid or in the 90s, maybe it could be a challenge to get to.
Yeah, yeah, you're probably right. All right, so it's your turn. Is it my turn?
You're number 7. You're number 7.
Okay. I put Batman versus Robin for my number 7.
All right.
So that whole trilogy, I remember being pretty good. I remember Bad Blood being the weaker link in the trilogy, and this one I did rewatch, and it was fantastic. I loved it. The relationship between Damian and Bruce was compelling, unresolved, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
The Court of Owls was great. Man, yeah, they could do they could do a whole series on the Court of Owls, and I'd be over the moon. Is this one on your list? Should I?
It's
maybe
not on my list. It was
okay.
Like number 11. I thought it was almost on, but it didn't quite make it.
This was a really good one. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say about it before we move on. What do you got for Batman versus Robin?
I do really like this one, and of that trilogy, there's Son of Batman, Batman versus Robin, and then there's Batman Bad Blood. I thought this was for sure the strongest one. I love the dynamic between Damian and Batman. Damian Wayne, his son, for those that don't know. And I think Damian is my favorite Robin of the 6 or 7 of them that there are. I just love that whole story of how he was raised by Ra's al Ghul and Talia al Ghul, and Batman didn't know about him. And then all of a sudden now he's trying to figure out how to be a dad and also mentor him. And watching his growth from all 3 movies was so well done. And just seeing how he pairs with Dick Grayson and all of that. And then you talked about it, Court of Owls. I love the Court of Owls, and they barely scratched the surface in this movie on the potential of Court of Owls. I heard Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves want to potentially do Court of Owls at some point. If they do,
I hope they do.
They would be perfect for it too. So man, I almost had this on my list, but just missed out. So I'm glad you had it on there.
I think the Court of Owls would play out great on the big screen. I really think live action Court of Owls would be. I mean, I know they did do Court of Owls in Gotham. That was on the season that I stopped watching though. So I don't know all of the Court of Owls saga, but I know they tried to tackle it.
Did they? I've never watched Gotham, so
yeah. It's all right. It's not bad.
Okay.
Kind of weird.
Right. Well, I'll go in with my number 7. I'm sure this is on your list, and you're probably a little upset with how low mine is, but I have Batman Under the Red Hood.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. So, they definitely adapt the death in the family portion of this so well, with Joker killing Jason Todd. And I don't want to spoil this for anybody that hasn't seen it, because it really is worth going out of your way to watch. But Red Hood, a new villain that comes to Gotham that is trying to be a good guy, just doing it in his own way. He's not afraid to kill anybody. Batman wants to stop him, obviously, but he knows all of Batman's tricks, and so Batman's trying to figure out what's going on. You also get, so again, Joker is in it early on. He comes back throughout the movie. You get Nightwing, who is voiced by Neil Patrick Harris, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And Kevin Conroy is still Batman
Kevin
years ago.
Conroy. I
But I don't think Mark Hamill was
Kevin.
Joker.
I don't think it's
Is it
Kevin
not?
Conroy in this one either. I don't think so.
Okay. Oh well, that's all right. It's the animation is great. It's like 12 years old or so, and it really does hold
Yeah.
up. So, and it's funny because they did a separate Death in the Family movie, like directed DVD movie, and it's just using scenes from this movie
with a different
So,
framing device. It was
yeah,
very
it's
strange.
very strange.
I watched it hoping that it would be a different telling of that story, and then it was over in the first 30 minutes, and then I read the description. It's like, oh, there's like 3 or 4 different stories. It's like, oh, well, I don't really want the other ones. So that was the only one I watched.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I was like, I don't want to watch the rest of this stuff.
Yeah.
So whatever. But yeah, Under the Red Hood is fantastic. There's, like you said, there's so many other great movies. It's hard to place it much higher than what I had.
Yeah, definitely. Are you ready for my number 6? Right.
What you got?
Batman Hush.
Okay, that just missed my list too.
Okay. And I can see why. It was not, they could have done better on it. Batman Hush is an animated feature that's based off of my all-time favorite graphic novel of the same name, Batman Hush. It kind of showcases all of the A-list villains in their own way. Most of them are working together. There's some alliances. It's a heavy Bat and the Cat story. It's the romantic element with Selena Kyle is great. Unfortunately, this it falls short of the graphic novel.
I agree. I also love the graphic novel, and I used to have it. I must have misplaced it or got rid of it at some point. But this movie is really good. I think you hit it right on the head. They really take advantage of the rogues gallery for Batman. You get Ivy, you get Joker, you get Riddler. I think at one point you see Mr. Freeze. I'm with you on the Bat and the Cat stuff. I love anytime they have Batman and Catwoman together. And this is probably one of the best stories that they did with the two of them. Not to spoil, I'm not going to spoil the ending because I do think it's good and you should go out of your way to see it. And if you haven't read the graphic novel, you probably won't mind what happens. But there is a deviation from the graphic novel that's a little jarring, I'll say.
Yeah. But yeah, this one was, I think it's the first one on my list that is like truly an identity mystery. I guess you could argue Batman vs. Robin because the Grandmaster of the Court of Owls has an identity that's revealed late, but it's not really the point of the movie. This one, like the entire point is finding out the identity of Hush, and it makes it really exciting.
They do a good job, and it sucks because the graphic novel is so good and Hush, the character, is so interesting and such a great breath of fresh air compared to just having the same villains over and over again. And the fact that they didn't do that, I get it, because if you had read the graphic novel, you would have just seen it coming and it probably wouldn't have hit as well. So I could see why they did it, but man, that's such a good story that Well, speaking of identity reveal, my number 6 is an all-time classic, Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Do you have this one on your list?
No, I don't.
Oh, you're killing me, Smalls. This was a theatrical release in 1993, and it is directly in the Batman the Animated Series continuity. And this takes elements of year one, where you see Batman have flashbacks to him taking on the role of figuring out how to become Batman. And it's similar to year one, where it starts out and he's going out like in a leather jacket and a ski mask and stuff like that. All the while, the Phantasm, the villain, is going around Gotham and killing people. So a dark story, a bit of a heartbreaking story. It really grapples with Batman's realization of the burden of being Batman and the things that he has to sacrifice to continue on as Batman. Obviously, you get the great voice acting from Kevin Conroy. Joker's in it, so Mark Hamill's solid as always. this movie really is as influential as a movie in the Batman world, and not even just in the Batman world, but in animated superhero movies, because this was so successful at the box office. This is a lot of the reason why we have a lot of all these other quality animated movies. So this movie,
Yeah.
most people hold it in very high regard. If you haven't seen it, it is for sure a go out of your way to watch.
Okay.
Again, not too long, maybe an hour and 15 or so. Um, it's just solid as they come.
Wow. Okay. I'm super embarrassed. I've never seen it. I had no idea it was amazing.
Wow.
I'll probably watch it tonight. I'm super embarrassed because I mean, if you say it's so good, it would probably make my list.
You'll love it. You'll love it. I think
Okay.
if you'll ask most Batman fans, if not all, and they'll say it's in the top 5 for them. It's just outside
Cool.
at number 6 for me.
Cool. Okay. That makes me really excited to watch it now.
Right on. I'm glad I could put you on.
Yeah. All right. So, am I on number 5 now?
Number 5, top
Number
5.
5, Return of the Joker. This is the Batman
Okay.
Beyond story. I like this one a lot. I was not a Batman Beyond fan as a kid. I didn't really know the story, didn't watch it. But this holds up as a standalone, and you really don't need to know a whole lot of background information because they're going to give it to you, and
Yeah.
it's mostly about digging up the past, because it's the return of the Joker. They dig through Tim Drake's Robin's past. They tell a lot of it in flashbacks and stories, and I think that the way that this comes together, it's a really good piece of film. I really like it.
It is really good. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was the beginning of Batman Beyond, right? I think it was like the first thing they did, and then the series came
They
afterwards.
they didn't set up an origin story at the beginning of the movie, so that makes me think no, but it's
Okay.
possible.
I'm probably wrong then. I don't. I do remember seeing this. I think it was a direct to DVD, or maybe it was a Cartoon Network thing or something like that.
Probably.
I do remember seeing this, and it is really good. Yeah,
It's
the
damn good.
the Tim Drake stuff is pretty dark, honestly, for what this is, the audience it is going for, and has a little bit of death in the family in there too. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I'm like you. I didn't watch a ton of Batman Beyond, some here and there. It is a quality show. I'd love to see them do live action Batman Beyond. Maybe now that we have
Yeah.
Michael Keaton back here later this year. But yeah, didn't quite make the list because I don't have that much of an affinity for it, just because I'd only seen it a handful of times.
Yeah. I got you.
So.
All right, man. What's your number 5?
This one was hard, man. This one was really hard. I had this higher, and then ultimately I dropped it a little bit lower, and I'm sad because I really, really love this one. And it's Dark Knight Rises, the
Wow.
end of
Okay.
the Nolan trilogy. This is a bit of a divisive movie that I have come to learn, and the internet sort of makes it seem like this movie's a mess and has like all these inconsistencies, and some people don't really talk about it at all when they talk about the trilogy. Understandably
Really?
so, right? Because it has the burden of following the Dark Knight. So
Yeah.
I can see why it had such high expectations, but frankly, I think this movie is brilliant. And yes, there are some inconsistencies and weird points where you're like, I don't know about that. But beyond the nitpicking, man, this is 2 hours and 47 minutes of just pure unadulterated excitement. I mean, Bane, I think this is Tom Hardy's best performance. If you don't like the voice, you're probably going to disagree with that. But I thought the voice is great. And I think Bane as a character is fantastic. The twist at the end, I didn't see that coming. I remember seeing this with you in theaters at the midnight release, and we kind of looked at each other and we were like, oh, hell no. Like, I didn't see that coming at all.
I love
Um,
it when a good twist gets you.
and I've seen people say that they saw that coming, and
That's fine.
that's fine. I
Yeah.
didn't do a whole lot of speculation going into it, so I didn't know anything about that actor or what their role was or what it wasn't, and it was totally
Hmm.
off my radar. So between the whole story of Batman relearning what it is to feel fear and overcome it again, and
Hmm.
between the performances of like I said, Bane, and I love Anne Hathaway's Catwoman here. It's not the best Catwoman, but it's still really good. The score is amazing. It's a wild ride. I love this movie. I wish I could put it higher, but there are some great Batman movies ahead of this.
I would say I'm at least okay with Anne Hathaway Catwoman. Like it didn't leave an amazing impression, but honestly, to me, neither did Bane. I know that you just said that you loved it, but I'm just okay with Bane. I do love the movie, um, but those performances were not my favorite.
Sure. I mean, yeah, there have been better Catwomen, but there hasn't been a better Bane because we've only had two versions of Bane.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for them to do an animated Nightfall. I think that would be so good because that's
they'll have to
obviously
split that up into parts for sure. That's a
they definitely
long
will.
one. Yeah,
This
I
obviously
have.
takes a lot of inspiration from that, but yeah, it's a great story.
In my opinion, from what I've read of Nightfall, this is a better telling of that story because the
Is it?
Nightfall, it's so long and I'm not gonna say hard to follow, but it's just needlessly long. Like it just has so many parts that don't like you can definitely shave off like because it's in three parts. The
Yeah.
Nightfall graphic novels are in three parts. I've still not been able to get through it. I think I got a bookmark halfway through the third one. I've still not been able to finish it.
Yeah, I think that they would definitely have to do two parts if they were doing an animated version of it. Or man, we still haven't had a true live action Bane with the full Venom tanks and everything. So I'd love if they wanted to do that as well. Bane to me is a really interesting villain, and I'm just glad they got him done at some point, and
Yeah.
not the Batman and Robin version where he's just this mindless brute.
Yeah, if Tom Hardy Bane is the best there is, that's fine. I mean, his Bane is good. Like
Yeah.
it's definitely good. It's just not. I don't know. It leaves. I need a little more. I need a little more sauce. I don't know. I need some juice.
Yeah, it's definitely a different take. I get it. Yeah,
Hmm.
I guess I don't know. I thought the guy had bars for days. Every line is it's just it doesn't matter who we are. What matters is our plan. No one cared who I was until I. Of course.
This bond is mobile.
We probably have texted that to each other 100 times. Mobile.
Yeah.
I remember when we saw this, and then we went to Florida maybe 3 or 4 weeks afterwards, and we were just on the
Mhm.
biggest bat kick during that time. That was a great time to be a Batman fan.
Yeah, I would say that the back kick that I'm on right now is the biggest I've had since then, for sure.
Same, 100%.
Yeah.
All right, Jack, what's your number
All
four?
right, man. My number four is, and I didn't chunk it out to part one and part two, but it's The Long Halloween. I watched it.
Same.
I watched both parts for the first time yesterday. Not back to back. I split it up, but man, it's so good. It's another mystery. It's another identity mystery. We're trying to figure out who's killing people on holidays. We've got the crime families, the Maronis and the Falcones, and members of their families dropping like flies. And it's up to the famous trio: Batman, Jim Gordon, Harvey Dent. Love that trio. It is the Harvey Dent story. It's everything you want out of the Harvey Two-Face story. It's I don't even know what to say. It's so satisfying. I'm sure you said same. This is your number four.
That's also my number four. I
Cool.
I don't say this on the podcast a lot, but I'm gonna say it right now. I fucking love
Ooh, the
this
hard F bomb.
movie. Oh my God. Parts one and part two, just like Dark Knight Returns. I'm so glad that they did this in two parts because they were able to take so much time and put so much, like you said, into Harvey Dent. And Batman got a lot of time, and we got some Catwoman in here, and that, to me, you said this is the best Harvey Dent that we've seen, even better than Aaron Eckhart. Josh Duhamel voices him. This is the Harvey Dent right here. If you're ever wondering like who's the ultimate Harvey Dent, like if you're in a mood for Harvey Two-Face, this is where to get it. This is perfect, flawless. This thing is dark. It's gritty. The animation is so well done. I love just the silence of it too, where there's no music for a lot of it, and you can just hear footsteps and chatter
Mhm.
and raindrops and Gordon lighting his pipe, and it all just kind of hits in a certain way where you're just like, this is a full-on noir,
Yeah.
hardcore, just brilliant, brilliant movie. And yeah, the second part is rated R, which means they can go
Ooh,
as
I didn't
far as they
even know
want with
that. I
it.
didn't notice
Yeah.
that. Wow.
Yeah, it's I can't say enough about this. I wish I could put this higher. To me, it's the best animation that they've done for the Batman or animated
Hmm.
movie.
Hmm.
And yeah, if it sounds familiar, a three-way of Batman, Jim Gordon, and Harvey Dent trying to solve crime in Gotham, it's because it's the Dark Knight, right?
Yeah.
That's where they
Yeah.
got this graphic novel is where they got that from. Long Halloween, one of the most influential graphic novels. The movie is a perfect adaptation. Oh,
Hmm.
I'm glad you have it on your list. I'm glad you got to watch it.
Have you read the Long Halloween?
I'm reading it now, actually. Yeah,
Okay. How are you feeling about it?
I like it. I do. I mean, it helps
I
that I've
remember
seen this and
I remember not caring for the animation or the drawing,
yeah,
the cartoon, or what am I trying to say?
the
The art.
the, the art. I was sitting here
Yeah.
like, is it animation? Like,
There's a word I'm looking for here. Art. It's
the art.
it's definitely stylized
Yeah,
and a league of its own. I don't know if there's another Batman graphic novel that's penciled that same way, but I remember not caring for the Long Halloween, and that's kind of why I put off watching it.
yeah,
I did myself a disservice though, because this is honestly, the Long Halloween is everything that Hush could have been. Like it's
yeah.
such a good showcase of so many good Batman villains coming together naturally, and when it's time to fight them, and then go in a different direction, and it doesn't feel like we missed something. It's so good, and a satisfying ending.
It really is a satisfying ending, and it's just like Hush. They do take advantage of the rogues gallery. You have a great Joker who's not voiced by Mark Hamill, but oh my God, the guy sounds just like him. Um,
Yeah, I noticed that
Peng-
as well.
Penguin's in it, I believe. Who else is in this? Mad Hatter, right?
Oh man.
Scarecrow. Is
uh,
Clayface in it, if I remember correctly?
Clayface is in Hush, not Long
Hush. Okay.
Halloween.
That's all right. But yeah, there's a good list of rogues in here that they really take full advantage of. Scarecrow is done really well from what I remember in this one as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
I can't say enough about this. And just to talk about the art on the graphic novel, the way it's stylized is different. To me, it's actually like noir in art and a little bit jazzy
Yes.
in a way too, where I love that stuff. I love gritty and dark and noir and jazzy and things like that, where everything's kind of not how it's supposed to be. I dig that. So for me, I do dig the graphic novel, but I can see why for anybody else it'd be a little bit jarring to see it as compared
Hmm.
to like the Dark Knight Returns, for example. That's so gritty, and I don't know. It's
Yeah. Definitely a
different.
must watch. This is seriously good.
Definitely, definitely. Well,
Yeah.
that was my four. So go ahead and give me your number three.
Okay. I have for my number three, The Dark Knight Rises. We've
Okay.
kind of touched on that mostly, but it's The Dark Knight Rises is a great movie. Huge shoes to fill. When it came out, I think it came out in 2012, 2013, somewhere in there.
12. 12.
12. Okay. So that was 4 years after The Dark Knight.
Yep.
Oof, yeah, it is definitely a hard act to follow. And when I saw it for the first time, I didn't respect it as much as I do today. Probably just because of expectations. Dark Knight Rises was arguably, aside from maybe Avengers Endgame, the most excited I've been for a theatrical release.
Really?
I was really pumped for Dark Knight, but after seeing Dark Knight
Yeah.
Rises was definitely, it lit a fire under me.
That was I remember it being very high on my anticipation list. But I mean I would say Infinity War, Endgame, No Way Home, The Batman. I think I was more excited for The Batman than I was for Dark Knight Rises. But
You were bonkers excited for the Batman, and it was contagious, man. I appreciate it because I'm super excited for it.
yeah, yeah. So, but Dark Knight Rises, man, it's brilliant. And actually, this is where I originally had it. Was at number three, and
Okay.
I think I just love the Long Halloween that much. And I'm gonna get into my top three, obviously, here in a second. But for me, they were a little bit better. I do love it though. I talked on and on about it. It's brilliant. It's a great, perfect ending. People had a problem with Bruce Wayne living. I think that's silly. I think it was a
I
great
think that's very silly.
I didn't want Bruce to die. Bruce shouldn't
No.
die. He everything that he does, he should get to live on and
Yeah, absolutely.
live in France with Selena Kyle if he wants to. So
Yeah, yeah. I don't think a dead Batman is ever going to be a priority for me.
that would have been such a bad ending. I would have been
Right?
really disappointed if that was the
I
ending.
mean, I get it, the hero sacrifice play, but I don't know. I with Batman, I always like a little room for another story.
Right, yeah, we want the happy ending. We want the happy ending.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
aside from a happy ending, I like happy beginnings. So my number three is Batman Begins. This
Solid.
movie is the most influential superhero movie of all time.
Hmm.
Without this, we don't get the Dark Knight. We don't get Marvel. We don't get what we have now. This movie changed comic book movies forever. This is really the first time that there was an ultra realistic approach to a superhero movie. And of course, is there's a bomb that's and fear gas and they're going to blow up Gotham and all that. Like, yeah, there's a little bit of fantastical attached to it, but it's Batman. Other than
Hmm.
that, they took so much time to really dive into the characters, and the characters are what make Batman so good. So if you focus on the characters, you focus on Batman and his whole rise to becoming the Caped Crusader, which they did so well, you have a fantastic movie. And I think that, if you have some gripes, sure, it took them an hour until we got to see him in the bat suit. And the voice is the voice, it is whatever. I don't
Hmm.
love his bat voice, and some of the close-up shaky fight scenes can be hard to follow at times. But from a story standpoint, stylistically, score, this movie is incredible. And I mean,
Hmm.
and I'll be honest, in 2005, when I saw this, I didn't really love it. It took me a few times to watch it to really appreciate what it was, and then maybe it
Hmm.
just took more of a better taste in movies for me to really find my appreciation for it. But my God, this movie is almost perfect. It started off my favorite trilogy of all time in all of cinema. It's Batman Begins, man. It's Christopher Nolan, and that's what's so crazy about it is he was not a big name. He's a big name now because of
Hmm.
these movies, among other movies. But I love this movie so much, and it had to make my top three.
Yeah, it is. It's a great show. I never really thought of it that way, that it kind of changed the superhero movie game, but it so did. I wouldn't say this for Batman Begins specifically, but that trilogy is kind of like that trilogy, and maybe the Captain American trilogy are like the only times that I'm like watching a superhero movie where I just totally forget. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Yeah,
100%. Because
yeah,
yeah, before this, when you look at all of the comic book movies that had been out, yeah, we talked about the Burton and Schumacher Batman movies. You had the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, the Spider-Man 1 and 2, the X-Men movies was 1 and 2, and a handful of like really bad, like Daredevil and Hulk. And a lot
sure.
of these movies were pretty campy, save for the Burton Batman movies, and
Hmm.
the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies are phenomenal. The first two are great, but this was the first time that they really made it feel like you weren't really watching a comic book movie. And it was the first time
Yeah,
that it showed studios and directors, hey, you can take this genre and take it serious. And because of that, now we have Marvel doing space operas along
yeah,
with political thrillers, espionage movies, kung fu, the superhero genre can be other genres. And this is the movie that
yes,
showed you that you could do it. So
yeah.
hats off. This is it's almost a perfect movie. It's phenomenal.
I'm I'm so happy that it's so high on your list. I feel a little embarrassed that it's lower on mine, but I'm looking at it as like there's my heart is in this list. I really believe this list.
This was genuinely hard to do
It's
because yeah, there
hard,
are
right?
movies that went up and down, and I took a few out, and I'm glad you had a Hush and Batman versus Robin because I wanted to talk about those, but I couldn't fit them in. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. All right, are we ready for my number two?
What's your number two?
Under the Red Hood,
Hot.
baby. I love Under the Red Hood so much. I could watch it any day. It's an hour and like 20 minutes ish. It just flies by, man. Every scene is crucial. Every scene is interesting and compelling. Despite it not being a Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill, Batman Joker duo, it's got some good talent in there. It's got Jensen Ackles as Red Hood, Neil Patrick Harris as Dick Grayson. It's got a lot to offer. I love it very much.
It's funny. I forgot to mention Jensen Ackles was Batman in Long Halloween and is phenomenal as Batman.
He did a great job, didn't he? Yeah,
he did. Yes. But yeah, Red Hood, man. I was gonna say it really is brilliant, and I knew it was gonna be pretty high on your list because I remember when it came out, and I think we both got it on DVD, and I remember watching it with you a bunch of times because it really is a solid movie. And I guess if the character Red Hood, he's evil, but then he's not, and so it's kind of one of those things where I don't know. I don't want to give it away is the problem.
He's such a good anti-hero. Like he's everything that Batman is, and then he's willing to cross the line also. And that's exciting. Sets up for a really interesting villain.
It really does. It really does. And I do love the character of Red Hood, and the way that they make you actually really feel for him and the emotion that he shows. It really is so well done. And I like too how they really make Batman grapple with his failures in this, whereas there's so many things that he could have done differently, and otherwise Jason wouldn't have died and all those things. So it's very well done. It's a very good story. It is definitely a go out of your way to watch movie.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it's only an hour and 20 minutes. Try it. You'll like it.
Absolutely. Well, Jack, the moment of truth.
Number 2.
My number 2, I'm assuming, is your number 1.
Oh, okay. I won't get ahead of you. Go ahead.
My number 2, The Dark Knight.
Oh, you son of a bitch. I know what your number 1 is.
I went there. For 14 years, this movie was the standard bearer. It's one of the absolute greatest comic book movies of all time. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. I can't say anything about it that hasn't already been said, between the acting, the score, the cinematography, Heath freaking Ledger, Batman, Harvey Dent, all of it. It's incredible. It's perfect. There's nothing at all wrong with it. I would say if there is anything wrong with it, it's probably not the most faithful Batman adaptation because it's a ultra realistic take on Batman and Gotham. But good Lord Almighty, it's brilliant. It's amazing.
Yes.
And
captivating.
I do love it. It is. It's a must watch at least once a year for me. I've seen it 20 or 30 times. It holds up so well. And it's no secret why everybody loves it. It's everybody's favorite Batman movie. And for a while, I almost sort of resented it for that because it's like everyone loves this, so I kind of want to rebel and say that I don't like it as much.
Yeah.
But it's great, man. I mean, Heath Ledger is incredible, and everything they do with the mob, and I think it's Maroney in this one, not Falcone, but God, it's great. It's brilliant.
Heath Ledger Joker, Gary Oldman Gordon, Morgan Freeman Lucius Fox, Michael Caine Alfred, like Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent, like the casting team. Pat yourself on the back, man. These are like the perfect actors for those characters. It's like, especially Gordon. I don't know if you have this attachment to Gary Oldman as Gordon as I do, but he's just it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. The mustache, the glasses, the face. It all comes together, man. He's perfect.
He is the best Jim Gordon of all time. There's no question. You know, when he goes out there and it's the part after he reveals he's still alive, but he's walking into the holding cell and everyone get back. Like, he just has this commanding presence about him. And his chemistry with Christian Bale is top notch. He for sure is Jim Gordon. Michael Caine is for sure Alfred.
Yes.
Morgan Freeman, they don't even ever think about doing Lucius Fox ever again. Morgan Freeman is Lucius Fox. Just like J.K. Simmons is J. Jonah Jameson. Morgan Freeman is Lucius Fox.
Yes.
Yeah, the casting team was like, hold my beer when they put
this. I won't give away the scene, but there's a scene in Dark Knight Rises where Michael Caine sheds some tears, and I cannot not have a giant rock in my throat when that scene happens. It's so touching. He's such a good actor, man.
He is. He really is. Yeah, Michael Caine's phenomenal. And it just starts off with a bang with the bank heist, and it just doesn't stop, you know. And then there's so many quotable moments, and the point where he goes into the penthouse when Joker walks into the penthouse and he's got his monologue, and you want to know how I got these scars? You're gonna love me. It's so
The
good.
moment when he has his jacket and he's got his finger with the cord and all the grenades, like, dude, this man is chaos. It's so good. It is the quintessential Batman movie, and that is why The Dark Knight is my number one.
Well, Jack, I'm gonna have to disagree with you right there, buddy, because the
Say
quintessential
what you gonna say.
the quintessential Batman movie, I'm here to say, is Matt Reeves' 2022 The Batman. And I'm going to hold on saying stuff about it because we're going to review it next week. You haven't seen it. By the time this comes out, we'll drop this on Friday, so it'll be opening weekend. So if you're listening, I don't want to ruin anything for you. This is the Batman movie, though. And I feel like I got to at least give some justification for why I put it above The Dark Knight. Sure. I will say this. It is not going to be for everyone. It is a long movie. It's 3 hours, but it flies by. There's never a moment where I said, all right, I'm ready for them to wrap this up. And I'll get into that more next week. But the time was not a problem for me. And people have been kind of down on how dark it is. Not a problem for me at all either. I thought it was much darker than The Dark Knight. There are horrifying moments where it actually does feel like a horror movie at some time. And
is it rated R?
No, just missed out on rated R. Just missed out. Okay. I mean, one extra 5 seconds here and there, it would have been rated R, I think. For me, why it is so high up is because of the genre. This is a noir detective take on Batman. You see Batman I don't want to give anything away, but from very early on, Batman is doing detective work, and he is doing detective work the whole stretch. And they keep you on your toes. They keep you guessing. You're not really quite sure what's going on. In a good way, it is such a good story. And the Gotham is perfect. Pattinson is the Batman, the live action Batman. Save your Michael Keaton. Save all of it. Yes, he is. It's incredible, and you'll know tomorrow. Or I don't know when you're seeing it, but you'll be like, okay, yeah,
it's tomorrow. I'm very excited. Can I ask you some questions about it? Is that all right?
Feel free.
If you think that you shouldn't answer it, just say okay. So the first thing I want to know, does it have the same feel as the Dark Knight trilogy, whereas you kind of forget that it's a Batman movie and it's definitely more of a crime movie, I guess?
A bit of both. I think that you definitely feel like you definitely feel that it's a crime movie. I mean, Falcone and Penguin as mobsters, man, they don't feel like Penguin doesn't feel like Danny DeVito. He feels like a mobster here. He feels like okay, this guy is actually, he's in it for money and all these things. It definitely feels like a crime movie, but more than any other live action Batman movie, it feels like you're watching a Batman movie. I don't know. It's hard to explain. You'll probably get it when you see it.
Okay. Another thing I wanted to ask, let me think. What did I want to ask you? I thought of some questions earlier. I should have wrote them down.
Oh, man.
How much of the movie would you say, percentage-wise, how much of it is Batman? How much of it is Bruce Wayne?
That's a trick question.
Okay.
I would say it's 100% Batman, but 80% of it, 70% of it, he's in the suit. 70% of what you see of him is he's in the suit. But when he's Bruce Wayne, he's Batman. Like, he's definitely dealing with, he's leaning into, nothing else is going on in his life. He doesn't care about anything else. He's Batman.
Do we hear any internal monologue?
Yes, kind of.
Okay.
He keeps a journal. I'll say that.
Okay, and so when he's writing, there's voiceover?
Yeah.
Okay, I like that a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
This one might be one I shouldn't ask, so just tell me. Is there a villain that I don't know about that's in the movie?
I won't answer that.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
You'll know why.
Yeah, for sure. Did you call it? I know it's a mystery. Did you call it?
It's not. No.
Okay, good
We'll,
deal.
we'll talk more, but um, the whole yeah, we'll talk more. I shouldn't answer that
Okay,
because
okay,
it's
I
not.
respect
I don't.
that.
I kind of. It's not like Hush where it's like, oh my God, so and so is Hush. It's not like that, but there is a reveal
Hmm.
that I shouldn't. I don't even want to hint towards it.
Okay, all right, cool, cool, cool. All right, man. You want to call this an episode?
I think so. Yeah, I think that. I mean, this was fun. I can't wait to talk about Batman with you next week. I know you're probably hungry and you want to get some food. So,
Yeah. Oh,
um,
actually, you know what? Let me before we end it. I'm sorry. I do want to. I want to throw up a couple honorable mentions because this list
good.
was very very hard
I'm
to
with you.
do. I thought about cheating for one of it. I thought about putting the Batman Arkham video game series on here just because it's so incredibly good and there's rich storytelling in there. And you could go to YouTube and look up the cutscenes and be pleased with the movie that they've cut together. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
thought about putting that one on there. And then I did want to mention year one. I kind of already said it. It is the closest adaptation from the graphic novel to, and I think that's worth mentioning because it is hard to adapt these stories, and this one nailed it.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I had a few honorable mentions as well. I wasn't going to put Arkham, although those games are incredible. The movie Assault on Arkham. Did you see that?
That was another one I wanted to talk about. Yeah,
That's set in the continuity of the Arkham games.
I wondered if it was because it had the same logo
Yep.
and Ivy's style is very like it's exactly the same and it's never like that with
Yeah.
the like red shirt. Yeah,
Yeah. So that's a good one. You had
the
you
reason
had
I wanted to mention it is because I probably would have put it on my list if Batman was in it more. It is a Batman titled movie, but it's totally a Suicide Squad movie.
that's true. 100%. That's
But it's
fair.
super good.
Yeah, I almost had Hush. I almost had Batman versus Robin. And then this isn't a Batman movie, but he's in it quite a bit. Justice League Doom it's
Yeah,
mostly a Batman movie, and it's really
that's a
really
good
good.
one.
One of the better
Mhm.
Justice League movies. So yeah, there's a ton. I mean, we
I
didn't we
think
didn't.
I think that one has the line where Green Arrow doesn't know much about Batman, and he says something like, "Don't tell me you're just a guy in a bat costume," or
I
maybe
don't
it's
remember.
Flash. Is that not in that movie? It's from one of the Justice. Maybe it's Justice League Dark. I don't know.
Green Arrow is definitely not. I don't think Green Arrow's in
He's not
this.
in that one.
I don't think
Okay,
he is. But he was in
man, I'll have to find that
Injustice.
movie.
Injustice was pretty good. People didn't like Injustice, but I thought it was really good. Um, we didn't have neither of us. Well, you okay? Never mind. I was gonna say neither of us had any of the '90s movies, but you had Batman and Robin.
Yeah, that really, really surprised me. I thought that they would all be on there, but I was watching these animated movies and I had to talk about them. They're flat out superior. I like them a lot more.
I knew that none of them were gonna make my list. I thought really hard about including Batman Forever because that was my first Batman ever, and I
Hmm.
watched it a ton as a kid. And I do enjoy it for what it is, but man, my God, it is a little goofy at times. I'll say that.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and I've never liked Burton's movies. I wish I did. I don't think
Hmm.
'89 ages well at all. And I get it. It's
Yeah.
very influential, not just for Batman, but for movies in general. And I get it, but it doesn't age well. The special effects are really bad. The suit's awful. I don't think Keaton's
The
that
suit
great
is
of a
awful,
Batman.
but
It's
he's a
it.
good Bruce Wayne.
I
I
don't agree
think
with that
Michael.
either.
Really? Okay. I think Michael Keaton makes a really, really good Bruce Wayne, but I don't really give a shit about him as
The whole you want to get nuts? Let's get. That's not Bat. That's not Bruce Wayne. I hate that. That's
Batman. I love that you chose like my least favorite,
it's
least favorite Bruce Wayne line. But yeah, no,
uh,
I know where you're coming from. I get it.
and then Batman Returns is just I
Garbage.
don't know. There's just something about it. Yeah, it's just
It's not
Penguin is
good.
disgusting. It's
No,
yeah,
and the
it's a
story
weird one.
doesn't work,
Yeah.
and the Catwoman story was super, super weird. Yeah, that movie's weird all around.
I'll say that we talked about Catwoman. Zoe Kravitz nails it. She's my favorite Catwoman by far.
Cool. Good.
So
I'm
we'll talk
glad.
about that next
I'm
week.
excited.
So
Yeah.
I am too. Give it a couple watches. I'm going to watch it two more times, I think, because it's a
Okay.
lot of movie.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, if you can't tell, we are so excited for Batmania, Bat Week. I hope you guys get to see the Batman this weekend. It's really, really a special movie, and I enjoyed it so much. So that is what we will be talking about next week on the podcast. Until then, folks, if you want to subscribe to our YouTube or any of our social media accounts, the links are all in the show notes below. If you are on the YouTube, make sure to leave a comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell for future content. And until next time, folks, keep on keeping on.
We just love you so much, and we will catch you later.
And we're not wearing hockey pads.